Okay guys, so in this video, we're gonna basically compare buying Bitcoin outright versus investing in IBIT, the BlackRock iShares Bitcoin Trust ETF. So I kind of want to just do a quick rundown because I feel like a lot of you guys are kind of torn between the two if you're new to Bitcoin. Also, some of you may live in some countries where it's restrictive to purchase the iShares Bitcoin ETF, like perhaps some of you guys are having trouble purchasing it if you live in certain countries, especially outside the United States. So I kind of just wanted to give you guys a nice comparison to give you guys a realistic idea of thinking which one is best for you. Now, me personally, I invest in both Bitcoin ETFs and Bitcoin because I like to be balanced, but I'm going to kind of weigh the pros and cons of each one. So let's get right into it right in this video. So I kind of made this I made some notes here on this online notepad, and I kind of just wanted to just kind of talk about kind of some of the benefits and the differences. So first, let's start with actually IBIT. Since most of you probably are looking at this video, you're probably familiar with Bitcoin, you probably understand it. Just to do a quick rundown of Bitcoin, it's obviously a innovative peer-to-peer payment network. A lot of people like to refer to it as digital gold or a 21st century savings account. So obviously, IBIT is just simply a different way to invest in Bitcoin. So instead of investing in Bitcoin outright, you're actually giving your money to BlackRock, and they're taking custody of your Bitcoin, and then you're just paying them a small fee, which is around 25 basis points or 0.25% per year. So let's just talk about some of the things or some of the kind of the differences and things like that. So with IBIT, you're actually investing in an ETF. And this ETF is traded from 9:30 a.m. to 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, as New York time zone, Monday through Friday. Okay, so it doesn't trade on the weekends, and you can't trade it pre-market. You can't trade it after market simply because it's an ETF. It's an exchange traded fund. It's not a stock. Okay. Now, BlackRock actually has custody, third-party custody of your Bitcoin. And I do believe that BlackRock uses Coinbase as its main custody partner. So this could be lower risk for a lot of people simply because they don't have to worry about remembering a seed phrase. You don't have to worry about securing your Bitcoin. You don't have to worry about whether you're getting a cold wallet, a hot wallet, a software wallet, hardware wallet, et cetera, et cetera. It gives you peace of mind. And the fees are pretty low, okay? The 25 basis point expense ratio is extremely low. There's a lot of ETFs out there that charge way more than that. Okay. And one of the nice things that you can actually sell and trade options on IBIT. Okay. You can sell covered calls. So this is one of the nice things about investing in it. So as you see here on Robinhood, we're looking at the options chain for IBIT. So if you have a certain amount of shares, if you have at least 100 shares of IBIT, you can sell options against your shares to generate income. So this is another main benefit. I'll probably talk about this in a separate video on how to sell covered calls on IBIT, but that's another differences. Okay. And finally, if you have your money in IBIT and say something like Robinhood or another brokerage account, you can borrow against that get your ETF shares on margin. Okay. So all in all, IBIT is probably best for things like retirement accounts, extremely long-term investments. If you're investing money in something like a little bit more towards corporate investing, okay, maybe you're managing a hedge fund or you're managing an endowment, okay, or you're investing money for someone else, right? Let's say someone gives you a big chunk of money and they say, hey, invest it in Bitcoin for me. Well, you probably don't want to take custody of that Bitcoin because it can be lost. So investing in an ETF would be the best way to kind of secure someone else's investment. This includes, for some of you guys out there that have children, if you guys want to set up an UTMA, which is kind of a custodial account for your child, and then when they turn 18 or 21, depending on the state they live in, they can take control of that investment. IBIT would be perfect for that because you just don't have to worry about protecting and keeping the Bitcoin safe until your child reaches adulthood. Okay, so now let's talk about Bitcoin. So obviously you guys are probably familiar with Bitcoin. One of the good things about Bitcoin is there's 24/7, 365 liquidity. It can be bought and sold at any time. Okay, you actually own the Bitcoin. You have custody of it. Okay, you can own this Bitcoin on a cold wallet, a personal wallet, private wallet, and once you know your seed phrase, only you know your seed phrase unless you share it with someone else. So it gives you lots of kind of personal control and personal autonomy over your Bitcoin. Okay, another big proponent of having Bitcoin outright, no fees. Okay, you don't have to pay any fees, even though that 25 basis points, 0.25% is a pretty low fee. It does add up over time. So if you plan on holding the IBIT ETF for 10, 20 years, you're losing a good chunk of your investment over time due to the fees compounding. Okay, now, of course, the downside is losing your seed phrase and hacker risk. Okay, so you guys would be holding it in a cold wallet or a private offline wallet. If you have your 12, 14 word seed phrase, if you lose it, you're cooked. Okay, you won't be able to access your Bitcoin, and of course, it can be hacked. Okay, if you end up something like a SIM swap is a common scam. Maybe you're accessing your wallet on an infected computer. Anything could go wrong, and you could end up having your wallet hacked if you have it online. So that's another risk of having Bitcoin. And then, of course, you can borrow against your Bitcoin. So this is really popular in Coinbase and other platforms online where you can actually use your Bitcoin as collateral and borrow money against your Bitcoin. So you don't actually have to sell your Bitcoin. You get to keep your Bitcoin. So for me, I think Bitcoin is best used as a savings account. I think everyone should have at least a little bit of Bitcoin just so they kind of understand it, especially as you're a beginner. Obviously, if you're planning to put on a substantial amount of money, invest for someone else, or have a retirement, I would probably lean towards IBIT as the ETF. But like I said, the nice thing about Bitcoin is you never know when you might need some emergency money. And there are only 21 million Bitcoin, okay? There are literally, not enough Bitcoin to go around, so everyone really can't have one. So that's one of the benefits, I think, of having Bitcoin. Like I said, I recommend both. For me, it's usually Bitcoin for savings and IBIT for retirement. I just feel like, me personally, it being 38, I don't plan on touching my retirement account until 59 and a half, God willing. So over a 20-year period, just feel more comfortable having those funds invested in a vehicle like IBIT. Now, obviously, I like having Bitcoin and savings as well. They also gives me peace of mind, but just realize that it is a lot more risk, but you don't have to pay fees. And one of the things I really think is frustrating is that there really isn't really any way to generate yield from your Bitcoin. Unlike with IBIT, you can sell covered calls against your Bitcoin and you can actually generate revenue. I'm going to make a complete separate video show you guys how to sell covered calls against IBIT so you guys can actually pay yourself kind of a little bit of a dividend and you're not forced to kind of trade in and out of IBIT and generate capital gains, taxes, and things like that if you're up. So that's it, guys. Like I said, try both. I think both have their pros and cons. I believe in balance. I don't believe in going all in on IBIT. I don't believe in going all in on Bitcoin. I like to have a mix. And really, I think if you're investing for retirement or your children or something like that, or you're doing this or corporate means, lean with IBIT. It's far safer. But if you want to take custody of your Bitcoin, if you want to have the best 21st century savings account, if you want complete control over your money, lean with Bitcoin, guys. So that's thing about wrap things up. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Let me know what you guys think in the comments. Which one do you prefer, IBIT or Bitcoin? I'd be really interested to hear what you guys have to say. That's all I got until next time, guys. Take care.